Hello, good morning. Um, oh boy, my hair. I am here in sunny Saskatoon, Canada, Saskatchewan, Canada. Um, and I'm actually just trying to kill time. My landlord's doing something in my house, so I was just out getting some stuff done, and I wanted to. There's something that's been on my mind this morning and the last little bit. I've been dealing with some rejection, and this is specifically for musicians um, who deal with rejection, because if you're in that world, you will deal with rejection, but it sort of applies to many other areas and careers and whatnot. But yeah, something that's just been on my mind lately is rejection and how do you deal with rejection. Um, and I just have 3 tips for you today. I do not want you to think that I think that I'm an expert on anything really. But yeah, I rejection has just become like a part of my life because I just am in the habit now of putting myself out there, sort of, and taking risk. And so it's just part of it. Number one, my first tip is work to be skilled at something. I think that when you start something and you set out to try and do it, you might not have the skills to do it, or you might not have the skills that you want to do it. I have seen a lot of like vlog videos that people make where they say, they weren't very good at first, and then they just worked to get better, and they watched their videos over and over to figure out where they were lacking and perhaps what their strengths were. So yeah, so that's my number one point. Just work at whatever it is you want to do. Work at it. Number two, my second tip is keep doing it, and especially after you get rejected, especially if it's like something that you worked really hard at and you put it out there. And I don't know what the rejection was. Maybe you like submitted it for something, or you submitted for a contest or whatever, and you were rejected, and you just feel like you're never going to do it again and you're going to crawl into a hole and die, which is a very real feeling sometimes. In that situation, you can take some time, absolutely. You can crawl into a hole and not be vulnerable and not share anything for a time. I think that that's very healthy sometimes. But as long as you come back out and you try again and you keep like just this process of vulnerability, just when you keep kind of putting yourself out there, but not in an unhealthy, like, I'm just gonna vomit all over everybody sort of way. Or I've even sort of been in this idea of my last album that I made was very vulnerable, and it was sort of like I released songs that were the first draft. It's sort of like if I would have released it now, it would have been a very different record, and I would have put more time in. But all right, the video cut out a little bit, so I'm just going to quickly finish this video. I was just saying number two is after you've been rejected, whatever that looks like, you can take a minute to sort of breathe and regroup and refocus and, figure out your goals or revisit your goals, and then try again or put yourself out there again. Maybe do it in a smaller sphere. Because just I'm sort of learning right now. I'm sort of in that right now where it feels really safe to close yourself off and to sort of not share, especially after you've experienced a blow or whatever. a mean comment or whatever. But you just have to get in this practice of continuing to put yourself out there. And in a way that sort of ties into my last tip, which is consider who you let speak into your life, or allow people to give you feedback, but only allow those you trust to give you feedback. In lots of spheres, and I think especially in the art world or music world, there may be a lot of competition, because a lot of our music things are built on competition. There are a lot of musical competitions, and we love that, which is interesting because music can be very different and very subjective, but there's a lot of jealousy is what I'm getting at, and that's okay. Maybe that comes with being competitive, and maybe it's important to have that sort of drive in our world, but all I'm saying is I have had a lot of people say things to me, and perhaps I've said things to people out of just a weird sort of competitive nature, maybe, and sometimes even it presents itself as feedback when it's actually just this really weird criticism that I have, which may even come from like a deep-rooted issue within me. And I've experienced that from people, and I have lots of stories about that, but I've done it too. But I'm just saying, there are a few people in my world that I love to work with, that I ask for feedback, that I invite feedback and even constructive criticism. But there are a lot of people that I put a wall up because they always are shooting things at me that are just comments that come from the garbage that they're dealing with, and that's very real. So so to recap, number 1, work at being skilled at something. Number 2, after a rejection, it's okay to step back for a minute, but put yourself out there again. Maybe after you've acquired more skill, maybe maybe in a smaller way, whatever it is, just keep creating and keep putting it out there, because that does sort of develop just this thicker skin, but also just this practice of vulnerability and sharing and getting better. And then number 3, do invite feedback, but be conscious about who is giving you feedback. So anyway, this is I wanted to sort of do this video live, but I'm not sure if that'll work in my car, so it might just be some less edited clips. But happy Canadian Thanksgiving if you're in Canada, and if you're not, happy Canadian Thanksgiving anyway. I love hearing where you all are from. Some are from really close to me, and some are from really far away. Again, I've received some really nice emails from some of you recently on Instagram, or even on here, even on my website, and I don't know, I'm just blown away by that. Just thank you for the encouragement, and you sort of encourage me to be vulnerable like this and to let you in on some other topics. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Ciao.